Ryan from Albany, New York, sister city of Albany, Georgia. It's not real. He said, how will this era of college football be remembered in 10 plus years? What a loaded question that we could do an entire show on, but I'm going to do like 7 minutes on it. I think we've had 5 decades of change over the past 10 years. Really, we've had 5 decades of change over the past 5 years, but I want you to think, so he said 10 years from now. Let's go 20 years from now just to be safe. So it's 2045, and you're explaining to a 15-year-old kid what this era was like. You have had the college football playoff and then subsequent playoff expansion. You've had the concept of NIL, where it is now legal to pay players, and that overlapping with virtually unrestricted portal movement, which led to complete free agency 24/7 in college football. We went from a structured environment where everyone knew what an offer was and what a scholarship entailed, and if you signed somewhere, you're probably going to be there 4 years, to we don't know where you'll be an hour from now. And it just happened like that. It wasn't over a span of time. It happened just like that. We saw the complete defanging of the NCAA. The NCAA has fractional power related to what it used to have, fractional perceived authority on the streets relative to what they used to have. We had the whole realignment era where we went from being a regional sport to one where someone thought it made perfect sense for UCLA to play Rutgers in conference games. And all of it happened kind of overnight. If you think about history, this era, we're talking about the span of 7 or so years that all of this happened. And I think it'll be remembered as the era where a lot of people got fooled, I guess is the best way to put this. What I mean by that is, first, we don't know how it's going to turn out. So let's say, for argument's sake and to make us all feel better, let's say in 2045, everything's perfect. And college football looks exactly how we always wanted it to look. So this thing we're going through right now, it's just an ends to a mean. If that's the case, I think we'll look back on this era of college football and we'll see it not only as an era where the playoff came about and then as it was expanded and you got NIL and you got the portal and the NCAA is gone by the wayside and loss of territoriality in college football. We just got mega conferences. Past all that, though, I think it'll be viewed as the era that fooled a lot of people. Because I don't know where you fall on any one particular of those issues, but I would imagine most, if not all of this audience, me included, has had something come along in the recent history of college football that excited you, that you've since been far less excited about, that you'd love a do-over on. Some of you wanted the playoff to expand, but maybe you don't feel that way. Some of you heard the concept of NIL in the portal and you thought, oh, this will be great. Or maybe this will even out the sport. Now you've seen, no, really it just accumulated all the power in 2 conferences as opposed to 2 or 3 teams. But you see, you couldn't have all that change without those same people who allowed that to happen concentrating all the power. So you may look at it and say, hey, in retrospect, I wish we could go back. If we lost all this, but we got regionality back in college football, I'd be okay with that. But you know what else has fooled people? It's happening right now. A lot of people are fooled about this sport right now because they're looking at the results. They're looking at the attendance numbers. They're looking at ratings. And a lot of people, even today, are mistaking explosive growth in metrics like ratings as an assurance that nothing's wrong. How many times have you heard people say that? Someone over here is complaining about whatever, and this person over here says, well, you're still watching. Well, the ratings are still high. They're fooled. They're fooled. That is not correlated the way you think it is. Hey, quick time out. Check and see if you're subscribed to the channel. If you're not, make sure you do. It's free. It doesn't obligate you or sign you up for anything. It just helps us keep the channel free. All right, back to the show. Today's growth is indicative of some stability and an incredible product a generation prior whose downstream results are being felt now. If you invested soundly a generation ago, you're reaping the financial windfall right now. But what if you have a meth habit that you've become addicted to? Well, I'm rich. There must not be anything wrong with this meth habit. There is. Your current results have nothing to do with your current decision making. It's more so your past decision making. Or if we want to go the non-drug use route, plant seeds in your backyard tomorrow and water them and care for them. They're not going to grow the next day, but they'll eventually grow. And then if you stop tending to that garden, they don't die overnight, but they slowly will. Would you look at it and say, it doesn't really matter how I manage this garden. Look, there's a crop. There sure is. Where did it come from? How did that crop grow? Based on the decisions you've made since you woke up this morning or the decisions you made 8 months ago? Like, it's common sense in every other walk of life. But in college football, for some reason, when someone gets backed into a corner and they can't defend the indefensible decision-making, or lack thereof, that's happening in the sport, they just revert to, well, the ratings are high. Yeah, they are. Yeah, they sure are. I think another thing about this era is we saw a legend retire. So you got the Nick Saban run, and then it comes to an end. I think in the future when people tell the story of Saban's retirement, it'll be one sentence. And it'll be, he got tired of the direction college football was going, and it was too much for him. He tapped out. Some people will say he had a system that was rigged to his advantage, and then he lost that edge, and he bowed out. Other people will say there was a college football that he thrived in, and he recognized and enjoyed, and then that version of college football was done away with, and a new version popped up. He didn't want anything to do with it, so he left. But either way, it's the same thing, same result. Now, I wonder, 20 years from now, how you look back on that exit. And who knows what kind of impact Saban's had on the sport since then, and who knows, period. Who knows what fixes come? Do the fixes come? Well, everything's in court right now. This sport is secondarily played on football fields right now. It's primarily played in the courtroom. It's pathetic. But that's where we are in college football right now. And so what's the story of how it got fixed? Because by 2045, something's happened. What's the story like by 2045? Inquiring minds want to know.